We are live. That's right. AEW Full Gear match card and predictions for the show in 2023. MJF defending the World Championship against Jay White. Can MJF get the title that is his back in his possession, or will we get a new World Heavyweight Champion? Who is the AEW Devil? That's the big question going around in AEW right now. Will that Devil be revealed on this show? We're going to be discussing that, and as well as that, there'll be a new signing, a big debut, one of the best wrestlers in the world, according to Tony Khan. Would it be Mercedes Moné? All that and much, much more, as well as the entire match card we'll be discussing here today. But not wasting time, getting straight into it. Going to get my special guest with me on here today. It's the one, the only, they call him NXSteve in house. Silk, how are you doing, my friend?
Oh, dude, my timing is normally quite good, but tonight I'm just all over the place. I'm very good otherwise, thank you, mate.
It's great to have you on board, man, and honestly, not to worry about it at all, but it's great to have everyone that's joining us live at this particular moment. Pierre is already in the house and has asked the two burning questions there for us about the Devil and the new signing. Don't worry, we'll be talking about them very, very early in the stream. In fact, we're going to kick off with MJF and all his stuff going on. So it'll be with the Guns, then it'll be Jay White, then it'll be the Devil, and then it'll be the new signing. So plenty of stuff to look forward to, nice and early. But before we do go into that, I have to ask what your excitement level is for Full Gear this year.
It's always one of the things with an AEW pay-per-view where it's like, it has the potential to be really good. I just hope it doesn't go on for like 7 hours. This is my only problem. The match card itself does look really good, and there is potential to be some really good matches. It's just a case of, again, am I going to have to sit there for 5 hours? And I think that's the one thing I'm really worried about is like, it just seems to be the same thing over and over again. It's just long pay-per-views with AEW.
It is a long time. Usually they are a little bit long for my liking, but what I do feel quite nice, quite early doors for this is that at the time of recording, there is one buy-in match. I'm guessing there'll be more added, but at the same time, we've got 8 matches on the main show currently. For me, that seems like a much more sizable card, something I can deal with a lot better for AEW standards. We're used to having sort of 10, 11 matches on the main card, so I'm hoping now we won't get any last-minute additions.
You never know. We might get a Survivor Series 98 and we get 14 matches, but they're all like 10-minute time limits.
And you never know. You never know. We'll have to wait and see. But let's go through the match card anyway. But actually, before we do, 1 to 10 excitement level. What is it for this moment?
Oh, I'm not going to rate it too high. I'm going to probably say a 7 because I don't like. I can sit there and go, oh yeah, 9, but I really don't want to be let down. So I'm going to rate it lower and then be pleasantly surprised if it's better.
For me, I'm going to say 8, but a lot of it is kind of a 10 when you know there's a new sign that's going to come. Look, I'm a sucker for this. Every time we're being told a big announcement, I'm hooked in. I want to know what it is. And obviously, knowing we've got a new acquisition coming in, like we said, is it Mercedes Moné? We'll discuss potential options later in the stream as well. And of course, the Devil, it's been the biggest storyline going in AEW right now, and there's been a lot surrounding it with MJF. So I'm pretty excited to see where it's going to lead to. But I will say an 8 out of 10 just for caution as well. There was 1 or 2 matches I'm not as excited for. But let's go through the match card very quickly, starting then with the buy-in. We have MJF and potentially a mystery partner. We doubt it will be at this particular moment. It's a 2-on-1 against the Guns for the ROH Tag Team Championships. Of course, then MJF later in the night will defend the World Championship against Jay White. We've got a Texas Death Match on the show with Hangman Adam Page against Swerve Strickland. We've got the Golden Jets of Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho against the Young Bucks. We've got a 4-way for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Ricky Starks and Big Bill defending against FTR, the House of Black, Malakai Black, and Brody King. And of course, we've got Facción Ingobernable as well involved in this to round things off. We've got Kris Statlander defending the TBS Championship in a 3-way against Julia Hart and Skye Blue. We've got timeless Toni Storm as the challenger for the AEW Women's World Championship against champion Hikaru Shida. We've got a 6-man tag team match, Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting versus Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. And last but not least, Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley for the AEW International Championship. So that leads me to the next question for you, NXSteve. What match are you most looking forward to?
It's hard to say. I mean, you can't really go against it was MJF and Jay White as well, aren't there?
Yeah.
I was going to say MJF Jay White probably has the most story-wise, possibly the best wrestling-wise as well. So it's hard to go against that main event.
Yeah, for me, it's all about the main event as well. They've booked this. I mean, it is the story in AEW right now. Everything is surrounding MJF. He's had so many different people that he's got problems and issues with. So therefore, you kind of look at it and say to yourself, "Well, hang on, what? Who could this devil be? Will he retain the championship? He's got the RH tag team titles to worry about in the buy-in. So yeah, I think MJF and Jay White for me is the one I'm most looking forward to. But I've got to say, I am sort of looking forward to this Texas Death Match as well. The last time was. Well, it was a massacre, let's say, with Hangman and John Moxley at Revolution earlier this year. I'm expecting it's going to be quite a fire exchange between him and Swerve Strickland this time around. But go to the comments quickly. Couple of comments coming from Pierre. I'll bring up just a couple of them for us now. It says the biggest problem with the storyline of this devil person mask is that we don't have a clue that we can tell who it is. Well, the mask is done very well, and I'd say the problem with it, for me, that's the beauty of it. We don't know who it is, and I think that's what makes the storyline so intriguing.
Yeah, it's very rare in wrestling nowadays that we get a master assailant, or do you know what I mean, a mystery person where we genuinely don't actually have a clue as to who it can be. I mean, I've heard so many things just today alone of who it can be, and it's kind of like trying to work out the pros and cons almost to who it is more likely to be than anyone else.
Absolutely. I mean, they're saying here about specific details, maybe clues, stuff like that. I mean, there were so many people that are rivaling with MJF at this particular moment. So for me, I think that's more exciting because it's almost, I kind of link it to The Simpsons. This is going to show my age here. Do you remember the episodes of Who Shot Mr. Burns? It was literally odds for the entire summer of who it would be and who it would be. It turned out to be Maggie Simpson, which was a bit of a letdown. But at the same time, I know it was 1995, everyone's probably seen it at this point. But, at the same time, it's kind of got that vibe about it because half of the roster have some sort of link with MJF in some way. Even people that are not involved currently in storylines that it could potentially be could have a role with MJF in this going forward when they're revealed. So, but we'll be talking about it in a bit later on. But Wrestling Archives now says it smells of Black Scorpion vibes. Bit of classic Ric Flair WCW there.
So what you're trying to say is it's going to be the most least likely person then. So what you're saying is it's Danhausen.
Now that'd be amazing. They've took them vignettes off TV, so I mean that would be pretty. I mean, it's very evil after all, and that's very devil vibes there. You might have solved it. Who knows? Is Danhausen the Maggie Simpson of this situation? Let us know in the comments below right now. But let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it because we've got a lot to get through. We'll start with a buy-in then, and we're going to start with MJF defending the ROH Tag Team Championships. Of course, Adam Cole, his tag team partner, is on the shelf right now, or is he? He is on the shelf. He's got an injury, which is why he's not taking part. We'll be taking on the Guns of Bullet Club Gold, and of course, there is a little bit of a suggestion that Samoa Joe is the one person willing to be the friend of MJF, but of course, that comes at sacrifice. MJF would have to defend the World Championship against Samoa Joe one more time, and MJF knows he kind of escaped with that championship last time, or survived maybe is a better word for the term, at the Arthur Ashe Stadium show, but MJF doesn't really want to have to do that. So will he go at a disadvantage 2-on-1, or will he get the help of Samoa Joe for this ROH Tag Team title match?
I think the biggest worry is that, obviously, because it's Bullet Club Gold, the numbers game is always going to be a key factor in it, and that if he is going to try and go with the handicap side of it, I can only see him losing. So I think he has to have a tag partner, whether it be Joe or I don't know, someone else. But it's really hard to say because again, this all plays into the main event and stuff, and it's like it's just so actually quite hard to call what they're going to do.
This is one of the harder ones for me because in some way, I've always said with MJF on the storyline, I thought that it's always going to lead to the friction with Adam Cole, baby. And I thought if that's going to be the case, then it should be the last hurdle that MJF loses those championships to where Adam Cole would be disappointed that he's no longer the champion. And if they want to do, say, Adam Cole as the heel and MJF as the babyface and the rivalry, continues on, in a different way when Adam Cole returns, then it makes sense in my opinion, for the Kingdom to be the ones to take the championships and not the Guns. However, there is this situation here where MJF possibly could make sense for him to lose the championships here, because if he's lost one title, it then leads to the archive later in the night of will he lose 2 championships. It should lead to a question mark of Jay White at this particular moment, and not a question of can MJF, well, he survived one, can he survive another? But who knows? What way should we go here?
I think for me, I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm gonna say that he will have a mystery opponent. And I'm going to say it's Roderick Strong. I
You mean
think
partner?
a partner. Sorry, yeah. I think
Yeah.
that the fact that is obviously Adam Cole's his best friend. He's Roderick Strong's best friend. So Roderick Strong should know that these ROH titles mean the world to Adam. So it kind of makes sense for it to be Roderick Strong. Then I suppose at a later date you can possibly get the Kingdom versus MJF for the ROH titles. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to say Roderick Strong is his tag team partner, and I'm going to say they retain.
Do you know, I'd love that idea. I know the fact that Roddy's been very clear that on TV that MJF is the devil. That's it, pretty much the thing. Every time he speaks to Adam, is like, can you believe it? Like MJF, he's clearly the devil. He's clear. I see things you don't, Adam. You're at home. I'm here. Stuff like that. And Adam's quite clear. You know, he's not the devil. I can tell you. MJF is not that devil. So, I mean, is that suggesting Adam Cole is? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, the idea that if we can do this for that's why I've put this first to literally get everything in one go here. But MJF, like you say, that the team of Roddy Strong could work quite well because they could try and have a budding friendship to start off with and see if it could work. It could fall apart, and then that can lead to perhaps the Kingdom getting a shot, like we suggested earlier on. You know, there are many things you can do with this, and of course, it just keeps Samoa Joe away for another day. For me, I would say that it makes sense in one way for, like I said, the Guns to win this year because MJF could go and win these titles back at a later occasion. It doesn't have to be a case of once he loses them, he can't get them back. Maybe there's an obligated rematch clause, but I am just a bit like you, and I feel that there is a thing of that MJF will probably get through one hurdle. Can he get through the second hurdle? I don't know if he's going to get this tag team partner or not, but I think he's going to find a way again to escape. He may even get a scenario where Samoa Joe is not currently booked on this show, may just show his hand of saying, look, this is what I can do for you. Not going to help you necessarily to the point of like being your tag team partner, but maybe just be enough there as a distraction to show, look, see what I can do. I have your back. Why don't you have my back the whole way through? So that's a suggestion, but I'm going to go with you. I'm going to say MJF does retain these tag team titles on this night.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I possibly think of is Joe. Joe essentially does maybe 90% of the match, and we get to the point where MJF needs a hot tag, like he's trying to get Joe into the match, and then Joe steps off the apron and costs him the match, maybe. Because at that point, MJF's had to have agreed to a match against Joe, so that's a possibility. But yeah, I just think that there's a title defense there. My only thing is like this devil. There's so many people that are queued up for like to go on to face MJF next. It's like he already like we even find out who the devil is. There's still already like 3 or 4 people that have earned a title shot, which is the biggest booking problem for them.
It is. I mean, the thing is also when we say booking problem, when we think of it like that logically, it's the biggest problem for MJF. How many hurdles can he get over?
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to walk away here? And obviously, let's just go and play the idea if he does lose these championships, all of a sudden he's going to start questioning himself. Actually, can I do this? Is it the right thing now to go and accept? Because at some point you think MJF is going to have to take Samoa Joe's offer. It just feels to not do that in the story. We're being robbed of another match. It just feels that. I mean, Samoa Joe said he'll get the match one way or another.
The TV title. What was
the
point
exactly.
In the TV title, yeah.
Yeah, so in somewhere in this story, I think MJF will cave in. It's just a matter of when. Is it when the devil is already revealed? We'll have to wait and see. But we're going for MJF to retain those titles. We'll see by hook or by crook. And we're going to go into the comments and see what everybody has got to say. We've got Noob & Co, TV in house. Noob & Co, hope you're doing well. Thank you for checking out the stream. Eric asking that big question. We'll be getting to it, Eric. Don't you worry. Have his own topic. But Mercedes, Monet, or Julia is the suggestion there from Eric Douglas there. We'll have to wait and see if that will be the case. Wrestling Archives asking NXSteve if you have your own YouTube channel.
I do, but I don't post anything on it because at the minute I just don't have the time to do anything. It's just I think I've done 2 videos and I just don't do it. It's easier for me to be on Steve's channel because I do none of the work. I just show up, sometimes late, but all I gotta do is show up.
To be fair, I mean, some would say it's kind of a hostage situation, really. Like you have no time to do your own channel because I'm kidnapping you and putting you on this channel so often. So that's pretty much the gist of how it goes. But I wouldn't change it.
It's like me loading the gun myself and then handing it to you, really, isn't it?
Pretty much. How topical. Guns up. Eric Douglas says, what if Joe agrees but MJF loses the world title? I mean, that wouldn't be a good proposition from Joe then, would it? Wouldn't work very well.
Again, it doesn't make sense for him to drop that TV championship. Now he's got no titles to fight for. It doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. Nubicom actually giving us a prediction here saying that Samoa Joe is going to betray MJF and cost him those ROH Tag Team Championships to the point that perhaps the offer may be off the table. Maybe there'll be a case that will become at some point, although Samoa Joe has played the patience game to this point. We'll move on in the meantime then. Go on.
I was going to say, Joe's only got to pretend that he can't get back on the apron to tag in. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, you could sell him short.
He could indeed. It's very true. It's very true. It's something we'll have to keep an eye out for. But we're going to go to the main show in the meantime. And obviously, we're talking MJF. And usually it would be the main event. It is the main event of the show. It would be the main event of our stream. But we're not wasting time today. If you got here early, you're being benefited. You're getting the World Championship match discussed now because, I mean, we can go into the details of how this has come about. Obviously, Jay White has made his claim. Nice to know that he was the one that should be going for that championship, claiming MJF had gone soft. That's when the devil thing started to begin with because Jay White was the first target. Jay White has obviously made clear since that he believes MJF is that devil, and that's why he's not really gone looking for anybody else. And it's got to the point that it's kind of become a bullying tactic, really, the numbers advantage of Bullet Club Gold over MJF, because if MJF is telling the truth that he's not the devil, well, quite simply, it's 4-on-1. It's to the point that Jay White has been able to walk around with a Triple B, obviously the AEW World Championship, for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Of every opportunity that MJF has tried to get it back, it's not happened to this point. In fact, Jay White actually did pin MJF clean in an 8-man tag team match when there was a chance that MJF would get that title back. Of course, that was the time MJF was teaming with the Acclaimed, not the last time we'll mention the Acclaimed in this stream, despite not being on this show. But of course, MJF, he's almost like they want him to lose everything. The Diamond Ring was up for jeopardy at one point, but MJF did retain against Juice Robinson at that point. That was when we mentioned the Guns earlier on going for the ROH Tag Team titles. Now Jay White, it is the big match. It's the big moment, and it's determined here. MJF still believes that MJF is kind of like him and is lying to the people. He's not their scumbag. He's still the scumbag he's always been. The big question is, though, when it comes to it, is Jay White and everything he's done on the build to this show going to get the job done against MJF?
I mean, again, going back to this whole who is the devil thing, I mean, like, it's a possibility. Who knows? Maybe Jay White was the devil all along. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's my only actual probably negative point to this is that Jay White is essentially a sub character in the big plot. Like, if you look at coming out of this, he once he's had this match, if he doesn't win, that's it. He's out of this title picture now. MJF goes on to have this great storyline with whoever's portraying themselves as the devil or whoever his next opponent is, whereas Jay White then goes back to just being Gun Club guy, and it's kind of like that's the one thing I feel bad about. But I am like, it's so intriguing because it's again, I said at the start of the show, it's not very often we get a mystery person and like who is it? Do you know what I mean? So it's really hard to tell.
It really is hard to tell. For me, obviously, looking at this, like we said, the numbers advantage is going to play its part here. If there was a time where MJF should take Samoa Joe's offer, it should be in this match, not the first match, in my opinion. But I have a feeling, we mentioned the devil stuff here, and obviously that will be our next topic, just to let everyone know in advance if you're checking out the stream now. But, I think the devil could make an appearance in this match. This could be a potential because it's where it started with attacking Jay White. Obviously, there could be, like you said, Jay White could have been attacked by Juice Robinson, but Jay White's the one deep down all along. It could be a fact that it's a Bullet Club thing, and the fact the Bullet Club actually have an extra member that was under the other, the bodysuits sort of people, rather than actually having Jay White himself there. Like, so they could actually do that way of doing it, but I don't think Bullet Club Gold is related to the devil. Like you say, it's a win or you're out of the storyline for Jay White. And it's great to see him in this position because I think when Jay White first came into AEW, I think there was a bit of an argument from a number of people saying he's being underutilized. This isn't the New Japan Jay White that we're used to seeing, and it felt a little bit flat. All of a sudden, over the course of the summer, Collision came in, and Jay White has just taken a new leaf and gone to a new level with his own. Some great work, some great matches on there, whether it was the multi-man matches with CM Punk and FTR, whether it's been, this feud here. Obviously, there was, there's been some great stuff. I think the tag team match with Juice Robinson at FTR as well was absolutely sublime. We're seeing more character work, more time on the mic for Jay White, more chance to express and show his character. I think Jay White will be fine. I just have a feeling Jay White's not walking away with the championship. And here's my reason why my prediction will be MJF, is because there is one more show before the year is out. World's End. That for me seems like a perfect title of a pay-per-view where a championship changes hands, because the World's End, because MJF, it's the bidding war of 2024. It has not been dropped. If you want subtle hints to tell you that the MJF storyline of not being signed to AEW is there, here it is. The Wembley poster for All In next year. Your world champion is not on that poster. He's not there. Now, has he signed with AEW? Look, that's for us to speculate. We shouldn't know if MJF has re-signed with the company or not until it's time, until like literally it's time, because they can play so much fun with it, like they did with CM Punk back in the day in WWE with the, you know, the pipe bombs and leaving with the championship stuff like that. They have the potential to do it here with MJF, and I think they will look to try and revisit that in some way, in some fashion. So for that reason, I think MJF is going to retain the championship here. The big question for me is what happens here to close the match? Is it help from, say, a Samoa Joe because he gets the help? Does MJF find a way to do it on his own? Or is it a case that MJF retains and then we get a devil reveal at the end of the show to know, or not necessarily a devil reveal, but someone revealed, so that way we know that MJF has got his next target ready, set to go towards World's End?
Yeah, just thinking about it, it's like, I reckon it's probably, I'm going to be the same as you. I'm going to go MJF retains. Like you said, it makes more sense. The fact that his contract is up in 2024. Hey, you never know. He may actually be the signing, like, that Tony Khan's announced. Do you know what I mean? Who knows? But it's more about, like, the match is going to be quality in itself. There's no doubt about that. But I think the fact is, like, I'm intrigued to see if they reveal who the devil is. I was just thinking that a couple of minutes ago before you said it, and I'm like, I mean, do they throw all their eggs in one basket and reveal who it is, or do they play the long game with it and then wait until MJF has a match versus the devil at World's End, and then it's only when they're in the ring that we reveal who the devil is, kind of thing? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, there's so many possibilities, but like, I think it's just going to be a case of it's going to be a hard-fought match. MJF is going to have to come off against the numbers. I don't think anyone's going to be out there to help him because his one and only friend isn't there. So I just think it's going to be like a proper underdog story.
Is it really his friend is a big question as well. That's something we have to ask ourselves. But we've gone for MJF to retain the AEW World Championship. That's the key from this. We'll be moving on to the devil in a second. So let's just quickly look at our comments and see what anyone has got to say here. We've got, Roger's in the house, and it's all about the big signing as well. It's exciting a lot of people. Will Ospreay is the suggestion there from Roger. We've got Ken saying that Dolph Ziggler could be that person. Wrestling Archives with Ryback. Could be Goldberg. Zane here saying, I think the devil is Roderick Strong, and as well, Wrestling Archives, could Samoa Joe be the devil? Wouldn't suggest it by looking at the physical shape. The physical shape,
the silhouette.
Yeah, the silhouette. That's perfectly there for us. Thank you. Would suggest it's not, but what I would say is, and this is, we're going to go into speculation station of whether the devil will be revealed. But before we do that, of who the devil actually is, let's have some fun with this, because I talked to you yesterday about what my sort of feeling and prediction is, but I don't know if it's going to be a final prediction.
I'll drop this. This is great. This is great.
Well, the thing is, I think it could work pretty well, but I do see ideas of other suggestions, and I've got another one for you today that could suggest another person. But I wondered, obviously, the idea of like Adam Cole, people thinking it's Adam Cole, if it's going to be, like his friend turning on him, seemed like the obvious plot twist at the start. For me, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be a lot more fun if it was Kyle O'Reilly under the mask, and we had Roderick Strong and the Kingdom under there doing the beatdowns, and to that point you think, okay, Kyle O'Reilly, is good friends as well with Adam Cole. But what you could do is you could reveal Adam Cole at a later date when he's fully healed from his injury, when the time is right. Because in that way, what you could do is a situation of where, and I'm going to go and use a plot twist from the movie Scream. If you go back to the first movie, when Sydney was being, the victim or being chased by the murderers in that, it was two people portraying under the Scream character, under the Scream costume, not one person. So I think you could get a case where one is revealed now and Adam Cole is revealed later. I think Kyle O'Reilly could be a fun one. And that way it keeps it fresh because Roderick Strong suggesting that it's MJF and keep doing that every week on the screen, knowing that he's actually one of the bodies under the just the silhouettes that's doing the beatdowns. And then obviously next Strong, well, Kyle O'Reilly's had his surgeries he's gone through for the last 18 months. Surely it's got to be near a return for him.
Like I said, when you said it to me yesterday, it sounds awesome. It's like you sit in the end of the description you gave of the whole Scream thing was like, do you know what? I really would love to see it. My only fear is that is Kyle O'Reilly and really like, is it a big enough name? And I think that's the biggest flaw, because it's like if you sit there and you pull the mask off and it's Kyle O'Reilly, people are going to be like, oh, is that it? It's Kyle O'Reilly. And I think that's the only worry, is it seems like it's very underwhelming. Like you'll get some people that will sit there like you, will just they'll look at the deeper story and what could possibly happen, and they'll be really gassed and really excited for it. But I think your average fan will just be like, oh, is that it? It's Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the thing is as well, like you said, you have to do one reveal to then build up to reveal number 2. You don't just do it all under one. You have to play the cards, and that's why it could be making sense to do one reveal at a time. But let's do another speculation at this point. Obviously, one that's been a heavy favorite going around. Jungle Boy, or Jack Perry, as he's known of these days. Obviously, the biggest tease for Jack Perry has to be the beatdown of the Acclaim, because Anthony Bowens was thrown through a glass window. Broken glass, anybody? Of course, that could be the link there of why it could be Jack Perry. A subtle clue or a subtle hint for what perhaps maybe fans may be looking for of who it could be. And some may say, but why Jack Perry? Why MJF? Well, I had to think about this earlier on today. And the reason why it could be Jack Perry is that when they had the 4 Pillars Fatal 4-Way build earlier this year, Jack Perry was obviously being talked to by MJF and saying, you should, go towards the darker side. You should look and find your devil. You should find you in the demons, that sort of stuff. Maybe this is long-term play and long-term storytelling that perhaps maybe myself had forgotten until I really thought deep about this yesterday. So, I mean, could Jack Perry be one for me? I do feel, again, it could be one that could be slightly underwhelming, because I'm not sure Jack Perry would be very well suited to the role, but I'm willing to be proven wrong on it.
Yeah, I think my only worry with Jack Perry, apart from the underwhelming factor, is that the other members that were in the beatdown, are they going to be the kind of people that follows a Jack Perry? Do you know what I mean? Like Jack Perry has recently has been portrayed as just an arrogant kid that he doesn't seem to have like an authoritative figure like a Jericho or a Kenny Omega, someone who can lead a faction. And it's kind of like, if you sit there and go to me, or maybe, I don't know, just throwing names out there that, I don't know, Butcher and Blade and Wardlow are 3 of these members. It's like, could Jack Perry honestly go and lead those 3 people as a faction? It's like, that's the other thing I find hard to believe with him.
The thing is with it as well, like you say there, the other members are actually key to a group. You can have the person that's the devil, but like you say, the people that are the followers as well. How low down the pecking order do you go to bring people? You mentioned Butcher and Blade there, for example. Big fan of their work, but to be fair, they've been presented as jobbers for the last 2 years alongside Kip Sabian. So, I mean, if they're going to be the ones under there, you're not really going to believe into this long term. It's going to start feeling like the Therm again within about 2 months. So there is its pros and there is its cons of how this can be dealt with and how it could be done. Another one that's been suggested, obviously, we have to talk about the elephant in the room with it, CM Punk, that people have suggested, the idea. And I can see that smile there that you've got there with, obviously he's been fired from the company. Well, if it's not someone that's against glass being broken, talk about the irony. But at the same time, CM Punk did post on his Instagram, I believe from Hell in a Cell, I think when he was taking on The Undertaker, I think back in 2009, I think is the video package of that, where he's like a devil in that video package. He posted that on his Instagram, which I thought was quite fun. Look, let's be fair. CM Punk has been fired from the company, but should we have all been put the wall over our eyes and CM Punk was revealed as the leader of this, making the devil believe it doesn't exist, that sort of stuff, with the storyline we've had previously with MJF, it would be simply brilliant, let's be fair.
It would be, and as much as it probably isn't going to be CM Punk, I just think it would just be one of their moments that will forever live in history, where it's like, you'll just be like, no way is it ever going to be this person. Like it's almost, it's going to be there with like an Edge return at the Rumble, for example. It's just you just it's the like the most unrealistic possibility you could ever call, and to have it be CM Punk, I would pop so hard because it would be so good. It's just this is another reason why I don't want to get my hopes up and sit there and go, oh yeah, it's CM Punk, and then it turns out to be Jack Perry, because I think that's just going to be a massive letdown.
Yeah, it could have that vibe. For me, I don't want to believe it's CM Punk, but I do feel that if it does happen, I think I would pop big time. Look, I'm a big CM Punk fan, and I'm not going to hide behind that. But look, people suggested Adam Cole. Obviously, we've kind of touched on Adam Cole with the Kyle O'Reilly idea, but Adam Cole, the most obvious. Sometimes, though, it makes the most sense.
Yeah, it's again, this is another thing where we kind of like, we as avid wrestling fans are like, you hope it's not Adam Cole, just for the fact that it's not as boring, but almost not as simple as that. Like you're expecting like we want shocks and we want plot twists, and it's like watching a really good film. Like you're waiting for that plot twist in the film where you just go, oh my god, I did not see that coming. And I think with Adam Cole, it's just too safe to be him.
Yeah, it does feel like a very safe option. That's why I kind of like the idea of that he could be like a later boss, like a another level up boss to what the Devil currently is. But I mean, it's been put in the chat here as well. I've heard it's been suggested as well. I mean, Pierre's the one here that's put it in. What about Britt Baker?
Yeah, see, I heard this one today, and I was like, that. As cool as it would be, it doesn't make sense for me. Like, I guess I get it that she's Adam Cole's fiance, girlfriend, partner, whichever one, take your pick. I don't know what the point would be of it being Britt Baker, because it's like, unless they're going to have Britt face MJF for the world title, what's the point? Do you know what I mean?
I suppose it could be a case of like you've got Adam as a friend, you've maybe sort of corrupted him a little bit, so he's not the same as what he was at home, and spending less time with me, becomes a bit jealous of that idea. I suppose that can make sense with that. My problem with that is it becomes a bit to go to flip it to a WWE in the 2010s. If it's like a Stephanie McMahon, like where does the comeuppance come? Like she can sort of attack MJF, but MJF can't really attack her, so it doesn't really make sense. And then if you say, right, okay, bring a female to the equation, who and why? Like, yeah, okay, let's speculate if Mercedes Moné, for example, is the person to come in. What would be the connection with MJF and Mercedes, for example? What would be the connection with a MJF and a Hikaru Shida, a Toni Storm? Jamie Hayter could be one that could just do it simply because of the fact that maybe Britt Baker was not looked out for her and she got injured and stuff, and it brings her back in. But as a convenience of the fact that she wants to get revenge on Britt Baker rather than helping MJF. But other than that, I don't see a name of where the connection comes for me, and that's why I think Britt Baker doesn't work in this.
Yeah, I mean, I have a name that I've been sitting on it all day, and I'm sitting there going, like, do you know what? I think it'd be cool as hell, and it would play into it. And I'm gonna say Malakai Black.
Oh,
because I think like he's very, like, to this point, he's been very underutilized in AEW. All he's ever been part of is 6-mans and tag team matches, and at no point has he finally stood out and gone, it's my time to shine. And what better way than like this dark and brooding character where he turns around and says, you're the devil. No, I'm really the devil. I mean, like, he's got the numbers. He's got Brody Lee, he's got Buddy Murphy. He can even recruit another. But then also there's other matches going on tonight where, do you know what I mean? It could be like the turning point for the House of Black in general. Like, this could be a really big night for them.
Absolutely. I love that suggestion because obviously it just fits the character narrative so well. You haven't got to really do too much to change things as well, because it's just like AEW Devil, but it's still House of Black. It's still, House of Black rules and stuff like that. So I like that. And obviously Malakai Black is hugely underutilized, in my opinion, in AEW. Obviously the Trios Championships was fun when it was there, but I like that because I've not heard that suggestion anywhere. So that could be quite fun. Zane suggesting another name that's out there, Wardlow as well, being another potential. Obviously Wardlow's world. Obviously he says he wants to get revenge on MJF. He's not happy with the situation, probably the breakdown of what's happened with him with the last sort of year to 2 years of his career. Obviously as well, look, Wardlow doesn't really fit the silhouette again, as we've mentioned, but he said he wants to get revenge on the Devil, yet we saw the actual Devil play at the end of his video package after Dynamite this past week. So I'm not convinced it will be Wardlow, but certainly is maybe a follower. I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to see what role Wardlow fits in all this, because he's going to play in this somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Wardlow's dynamic. He honestly doesn't need the bells and whistles. He just turns up, power bombs the guy, wins, and goes home. And it's kind of like he's taking almost the long route about it, because instead of like jumping the queue and going straight for MJF, apart from the one segment we did see where he pins him up against the wall, he's kind of doing it through the way of, my wrestling is going to get me to the top and is going to get me my shot at the AEW Championship, and he's going to go through everyone and beat them and then go after the World Championship. So for me, I just don't think he needs the bells, the whistles, the mask, anything like that. But like you said, as a follower, it's a potential, but I don't think Wardlow needs it, if I'm honest. Wardlow's fine as he is. I don't understand why he needs to be dressed up in all black with a leather jacket and a black balaclava. Do you know what I mean?
I get where you're coming from with it.
Hey, we're talking about it all dressed in black. Could be the aces and eights. You never know.
Throwback to TNA days there. Ray and House of Us as well says, could it be Bobby Fish? I think Bobby Fish was not really leaving on good terms when he was with AEW, but never say never. We'll never say never. We've got a suggestion as well of Hook here as well. That would be a Hook if he was to be the one, but I don't see that happening either. I wouldn't be surprised he actually has a match against Wheeler Yuta in the buy-in on this show.
Yeah, it's a possibility. Hook's kind of like just floundering at the minute, and he just seems to do the same thing every time, and it's kind of like they really need to do something with him to start developing him the way they want him to get to.
Absolutely. And last then one we'll do, and then if anyone has more in the chat, feel free to throw them in there. But what if it was MJF and they said to Adam, it was me all along, Adam? I mean, MJF, we mentioned the idea there of like the Scream movie, for example, where, it's two people that can be portrayed under there, because MJF then is in front of the camera when he needs to be, and then he can be a part of it as the devil all along. He really is just that natural scumbag. He is the person that was behind it. It's a possibility that it could be done that way, couldn't it?
It is, but then if you're taking things like the whole contract situation into it, are they really going to want to invest all this time on a character and know that the guy might not even be there come January? Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a character that could, and a faction that can, like, if MJF's not going to stick around, this faction could still be around for the next 2 years. Do you know what I mean? And that is the whole worry about it. It would be, like you said, a pretty cool swerve. And, like, even if they do what we said earlier, where you said, Kyle O'Reilly could dress up as the devil to fool everyone before it's Adam Cole. You could get that the same here. Someone else is dressing up at it until MJF reveals that it is actually him. So I like the idea of it, but until MJF is confirmed as staying at AEW, I find that one a little bit harder to believe.
Absolutely. I just say, did know CD that you were joking about. Obviously, I can't do the Vincent McMahon voice that well. That's why I didn't do it as well as I could have done. But I just think MJF potentially could have been.
Austin. It was me all along.
Should have got Silk to read it. But I mean, the thing is, I just felt to myself that you can't rule MJF out of the situation. His name is still being thrown in the hat, and there's still ways you can go around it. We'll go into other comments then, and we'll give our final take. Will A, the devil be revealed, and B, who will it be? We'll be answering that in a couple of seconds' time. But just go into the comments too. Sorry?
Maybe it's Christopher Daniels. He was the original higher power.
The original one, yeah. It's not going to be Vincent McMahon anyway. We know that. But Ospreay is under contract until end of January, start of February with New Japan. So unlikely to be the signing as well. In there, if it's Jack Perry, it'd be a major disappointment. Not that exciting to me. Me neither, if being brutally honest. And yeah, I think we're at a good place then. People suggesting here with it's me, Austin, all on their wrestling archives. But CD is saying Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly in the Kingdom will be a fire faction. Well, that is going to be my prediction from this. I think Kyle O'Reilly will be the first one revealed. I'm going to stick with it. And I'm going to say that we do get some pieces unveiled at this show where I think then we can get a championship match set for World's End. NXSteve, what would be your final prediction on who it is at this particular moment, and will it be revealed this Saturday?
I'd like to think that maybe some of the members will be revealed, but I would like it to be a big swerve, and it's a case of that the devil isn't revealed, but some of the members are. Almost make it seem like it's too obvious, but then swerve it. But hey, do you know what? I'm going to go with my shout, and I'm going to say Malakai Black, just because I think it's about time Malakai Black finally does something at AEW.
I would love it to be Malakai Black. I would not argue with that at all. I agree with you, by the way. Reveal members like gradually. Don't reveal everybody in one go. I think that would be, like you say, like when they did it with the firm, they just revealed everybody straight away, and it just felt a bit flat very instantly. So I think AEW could learn for this and just, they've dragged this story out over a case of a couple of months. So I think that should be the way that they should do going forward.
The problem they have is that this is the problem with the AEW just being so faction heavy, or so, like, you can tell from pretty much if you reveal one person, it's pretty much who the rest of them are going to be. Like, I'm sitting here looking through the AEW roster now, and I'm like trying to find someone who would be plausible, who isn't tied to someone else that you could do. I mean, like, there's maybe Vincent. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, Eddie Kingston. Do you know what I mean? It's just trying to find someone who would fit the mold where you don't have to give it all away on the night, but it's not a very easy job to do.
It's not an easy job to do, and I wouldn't want to be in the Booker's shoes. Let's put it that way. Two Sweet was digging the OTM colors today. Obviously, they'll be live doing their predictions later today. If you want to go and check out OTM's channel, and CD as well says maybe the name would be Undisputed Kingdom. I like that. I'd be down with that. I would be very much down with that. Malakai Black is in a tag team championship match on the show. That is true. We've yet to actually cover that match. We'll be doing that very, very soon. In fact, we've only covered the MJF matches at this particular time. But that's our folks on the Devil. Excuse me. We're going to move then on in the meantime, and we'll go to the other big burning question. Who will be unveiled as the newest signing for AEW at Full Gear 2022?
Well, I can tell you who it's not going to be, and it's definitely not going to be Will Ospreay. Unfortunately, like Carl said earlier, he's tied up with New Japan until February. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be Will Ospreay.
Unfortunately not. I mean, the thing with Will Ospreay is that he is deemed as one of the best wrestlers in the world, which is what's in Tony Khan's tweet, like one of the best wrestlers going. However, I think the rule then rules a lot of people out. Obviously, if you look at, for example, an NXT roster that have had releases recently from WWE, 30-day, non-compete clauses, those people are probably free to sign, but they don't fit the bill, so it's not going to be them. When it comes to these names here, it's going to be interesting because there's only a couple of names that make sense. Obviously, I've put Mercedes Moné in the actual title of the video of Will She Debut, but I want to just discuss a few other names first, just for the fun of it all. But when you look with the main roster ones that were released, for example, Dolph Ziggler, fantastic in ring. Shelton Benjamin, fantastic in ring. You could make the case that they are great in ring and one of the best in the world at what they do, but at the same time, they're still on these 90-day non-compete clauses, so they're not expired in time for this show. Therefore, they won't be signing the contracts here on this show. But to something a bit outside of the box, obviously, best wrestler in the world, for example. Could you imagine a massive Swerve just to troll us fans? Could you imagine like a Ronda Rousey? She's a free agent.
Oh, don't, dude. That's no, because I was just looking at the picture you sent me of TK's tweet, and it was like it's someone who's respected by all the AEW fans. And then you turned around and said that a lot of the WWE ones have 90-day compete clauses, but I'm pretty sure Dolph Ziggler's contract expired. I don't think he was released. I don't think he has a 90-day release clause. I think his contract just genuinely ended.
I see.
So I think he is still a possibility. So he's the only one that kind of makes sense, that fits in the tweet that AEW fans will respect, because everyone knows Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, is a really good wrestler, and like he knows how to carry a match, and he's like he'd be awesome on this roster because there's so many guys on there that he could work with that would be amazing. But apart from that, it's kind of like this is the thing. TK's tweet could be really just absolutely full of crap, and it could be Goldberg. Do you know what I mean? And it's like there's a lot of people that don't like Goldberg for a certain reason. It's like the guy's like 55, 60 years old now, and he's still wrestling. Well, was still wrestling. So I don't know, man.
Fits the narrative perfectly. Just signed Ric Flair.
Yeah. We know how badly that's gone down at the minute.
Exactly. Gone that on lead balloon, hasn't it? Look, let's talk about it. Mercedes Moné, I think she fits the bill as most likely. She ticks the boxes, one of the best in the world. They've not specified if it's a he or a she on the tweets. She was at All In at Wembley. So it makes it feel like she's been injured for quite a while now. Maybe she would have competed at All In had she been, fit and ready to go at that point rather than just sitting in the crowd. You would imagine that her sitting there meant something back then, and for her to not join the company at this point would be a major U-turn. So I feel like it's most likely that Mercedes Moné debuts at this show.
Yeah, it is a very good possibility. It's just a case that a lot of things have changed since August in the world of wrestling. Like Vince McMahon is essentially out of WWE now, and Triple H is in charge, and Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, is one of Triple H's greatest ever talents to come out of NXT. And it's like, I feel if Triple H, I don't know, it just feels like if Triple H was to make a call, I think she'd find it really hard to turn down going back to WWE. So I couldn't even say it'd be Mercedes Moné at the minute.
Interesting. Who do you reckon it will be then?
I'm just going to say Nick Nemeth. It's the only one that kind of makes sense for me, and it's like I can't think of anyone else. Like Ibushi's been shown all over Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. So it might just be it's Ibushi, and it's an even more of a letdown. Who knows? But I reckon it's Ibushi or Nick Nemeth. It's got to be one of them two.
Well, as Ibushi, I think Ibushi's been signed for a few months. I think they've just released the graphic now, so I think that's the reason for it. But it is still a bit weird timing of we've got a big signing joining. Oh, by the way, Kota Ibushi's already, in case you didn't know. It's again, what would be deemed as one of the biggest signings possible to make in the free agency market very recently. Earlier, sort of after WrestleMania, Ibushi and Jay White were the two big ones everyone was talking about. So, it's a big deal to have there. And I think, to try and top an Ibushi, I mean, I think Nick Nemeth would be a good one in ring, but I think it would kind of scream a bit like Christian Cage when everyone was thinking would Brock Lesnar or CM Punk be joining AEW back in Revolution 2021 when it was one of the best wrestlers of all time. So it'd be interesting to see how it's going to play out, but I respect your opinions. I will go for Mercedes Moné. I would be surprised if it's not at this point, but we'll have to wait and see how it will play out. But I'm pretty sure our comments they're running wild, which makes me think surely it's not Hulk Hogan. But let's see what they've got to be saying at this particular moment. But PS is for me, new elite guy for me, but will be Mercedes Moné, aka Sasha Banks, if not Ronda Rousey. Let's hope it is. Well, to be fair, do you know what? I'd actually be quite fun to see how Twitter or X would react if Ronda Rousey was there. It'd be interesting to see how they would book and use her, to be fair. Obviously, Marina Shafir is in AEW, so it's not completely out of the realms of a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously just after she left WWE, there was that thing on that went around on the socials of her wrestling, and it's kind of like the thing is again doesn't fit TK's tweet because a lot of people don't like Ronda Rousey, me being one of them. Sorry to say that. I can't see why that he would think that would be the smartest signing to make.
I suppose name value is something. I know the stock of the name is not as hot as what it was when she first came into wrestling, I would say, but it still would be a bigger name than what they've got. It would be a drawing name. So, yeah, win, lose, or draw, if you like or don't like it, I don't think it'd be the worst move to make. Ryback certainly would. I don't think Ryback would be one to make, unfortunately. But Sami Callihan is one that's been suggested, and obviously a free agent at this moment, but certainly wouldn't fit but one of the best wrestlers in the world. Sorry to say the Sami Callihan, but I think the Sami Callihan would be a good hand if he was to be in All Elite Wrestling, though, and I think certainly someone that they should look to be bringing in.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad shout. It just for me, Sami Callihan is such an impact wrestler that he was perfect where he is. And I think I'd find it hard for him to fit in at AEW. I don't he can wrestle, but I just think he's really character driven, and for me, AEW is not exactly the most character-driven place.
Yeah, I agreed with that. We'll have to see how it will play out. But no, I do see what you're saying with that point there. Roger's saying if Dolph Ziggler is, they could put him in this tag team with this Brian Ryan. I think Ryan has actually tweeted the idea of them two as tag team champions in AEW. I think that certainly wouldn't be a bad move to do.
I just had a look online, and a lot of places are still saying that he's got a 90-day no-compete clause, which apparently runs till the 20th of December. So that'll be for everyone who was released recently by WWE. But I'm pretty sure that Ziggler's contract expired, and I don't think he has a 90 days. So we'll wait and see.
Time will tell. Eric thinks it could be Mercedes or Julia. Of course, Julia has been certainly a name that's been a hot topic very recently. So it'd be interesting to see if when she becomes a free agent at some point in the near future, if she would go to an AEW or to the rumored WWE. Daz thinks Adam Cole could be in the Mask of the Devil. Daz, thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. And he agrees, Tuswicom agrees with NXSteve. Dolph being the pick, Mercedes buzz has died down. Interesting there. Be interested if it would come back up if she was to be the one. Do you know Ryan Emmett best friend is woman Ryan and Keeley? No, I did not, Ken, but thank you for sharing that nonetheless. CD says that Ryback is a game changer. Lol. See Sammy Cannon re-signing with TNA. It's a Jordan Grace type of thing. I would not be against that either. And CD can't believe that Ric Flair signed to a multi-year deal. Neither can I. Samoa Joe dropping the title was the wrong move. He should have put someone over. Keith Lee should have beat him. I think it's that awkward thing. ROH is the NXT to AEW to a WWE Raw and SmackDown.
It's not even on the levels of NXT. The fact it's behind a paywall. I think that's the worst part. Is it needed a TV deal, but apparently, like I was reading, TK's not interested in looking at TV deals for ROH until the AEW ones are back up for renewal, and that's apparently why CW now is getting NXT from next year, because apparently they did go in for ROH originally.
Apparently, it's the rumors that have been said there. Like you're saying, it's it's not gone well for. Well, we don't know what's going to happen with ROH going forward. And to be fair, this is why for me, I don't think it's the wrong move. It doesn't look great on the Ring of Honor branding. Totally agree. And as always said previously, someone else should win to get the rub. But Samoa Joe is AEW World Championship level compared to the Television Championship with Ring of Honor. That's comparing right now. Oh goodness, it's basically like going from like WWE champion to GCW mid-card champion. That's kind of like the level difference it feels between those two companies right now. So that's why I don't see it as a big deal at this particular time. But it's what it is. It was a very delicate situation that I think no one could have won here with Samoa Joe dropping that championship. What's the prediction? Will Ospreay to AEW, TNA, or stays in New Japan, or perhaps even WWE? Can't rule them out. I think AEW though for sure.
AEW seems like the most obvious one, because then he can still stay in New Japan. TNA would be good, but I don't think it's a big enough platform for him.
He is a TNA guy, though. He grew up like idolizing TNA and AJ Styles and stuff like that. And of course, he's just done Bound for Glory. Had a great experience there. Apparently, also did a match with Josh Alexander, which I believe is going on TV tonight, which I cannot wait to see, by the way. And also, he was part of the Turning Point show in the UK tour for Impact. So it wouldn't be a massive surprise to see him there. But I suppose long term, it depends really with Will Ospreay now. He's at that point where I think where he's ready for the biggest stage possible. I think that's the thing. It's great for the alternative, but at this point, I think it's going to be the biggest buyer is where Ospreay is going to go. But you could be true. Eric thinks that Ali has 30-day close because in NXT. I believe actually Ali still has a main roster contract who was in NXT. So unfortunately, I think Ali still has the 90 days there.
It's a good shot, though.
It is a good shout. Someone I definitely would like to see in AEW when he is available. And I agree, ROH, no storylines, squash matches. It's not worth the time. And CD, just as we talked about with Ospreay, do we see a rematch between him and Josh Alexander at Hard to Kill? I do not, because Ospreay will have obligations for New Japan Pro Wrestling and Wrestle Kingdom around that time. Tuswicom says AEW feels safe for Will, make a splash, go to WWE and be a star, but after all the indie darlings and New Japan going to AEW, it'll be just another guy to me. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you feel with that comment?
He could be. Like, my biggest worry with Will Ospreay going to WWE was Vince McMahon, but now Vince no longer seems to be a thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Seth Rollins versus Will Ospreay. I'd love to see even Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. There is the potential to have some great matches there. I mean, it's kind of like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because AEW, I kind of guess, is the safe bet for him, but it's all more to do with his personal life, because apparently, like, there's all this stuff come out that he doesn't want to go to the States and he wants to stay in the UK and he don't want to do the touring like WWE does. So I don't know, unless they want to do what it was rumored and he's the face of NXT Europe. I don't think that's big enough for him. I think that's an even smaller step than AEW. So I couldn't even see him doing that. I think if he goes to WWE, he's main roster, or he's not in it at all, because I wouldn't even see him going to NXT.
No, he has to be main roster or not at all. I think a match with Seth Rollins, for example, would be a great one to have in WWE if he was to go there. I just think AEW is going to be the place. Obviously, they have Wembley again next year. He was a big part of, so thrilled to be a part of that experience at Wembley Stadium earlier this year. Obviously, yes, okay, he did tattoo the wrong attendance number in the end, but maybe bygones be bygones. He gets the opportunity to do that again. He's got more probably chance of becoming a world champion in the first year, probably there. Let's not forget as well, a rubber match of Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay would be a match that TK could then actually do. So, that would be big in itself. So, this familiarity with Will Ospreay with the AEW roster as well. Obviously, United Empire members like Aussie Open are there. Many people he's faced from New Japan days as well. Obviously, they do Forbidden Door as well. And maybe Tony Khan will allow Will Ospreay to still do New Japan dates, because that's something that we're seeing already with Bryan Danielson. Will be doing the match against Okada at Wrestle Kingdom in January next year. John Moxley has been doing it previously. Claudio Castagnoli's been over there of late. So, I mean, there is that case of, for me, it makes most sense for him to go to AEW. But obviously, I would quite like to see him in WWE as well.
Yeah, I think for me though, I think New Japan is I can't see why you wouldn't want to sign with New Japan. You've been a former world champion. Do you know what I mean? You've got this whole, like you see, he's got a whole faction behind him. It's probably the safest bet. He can still do AEW, but I think that he'd be a bigger star in New Japan. Like I see what Carl says. Yeah, he kind of would I think he would at some point just fall into being another guy because of that like heavily stacked roster.
Absolutely, indeed. There, Tino's time in house as well. Tino, thank you for checking us out. Hopes we're doing well. We hope you're doing well, whatever time zone in the world you are, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, it's always Tino's time. This week, I was simply conflicted if he was in off-space position. It's all about that money. I think that's going to be a big part for it.
All about the Benjamins, yeah.
Absolutely, but Will Ospreay deserves to be treated as a main event. He won't get that in WWE, unfortunately. Says A to the K Wrestling Show, who have a fantastic YouTube channel as well. Make sure to go and subscribe to them. They've got their predictions out for AEW Full Gear out already as well. Will Ospreay said he didn't want to move to America. TNA would make more sense. TNA do tapings, says Roger. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you was to put if you was looking at it and you was going Ospreay in AEW versus Ospreay in WWE, I would say he'd fare better at being a top star in WWE than he would do in AEW.
Interesting.
I think he'd be booked better with Triple H than he would with Tony Khan.
I think he would do well in both. I'm not sure.
Quality of matches would be better in AEW, but he would be a bigger star in WWE.
Oh yeah, there's a bigger audience as well to work with, so of course that would be. And the thing is, you must surely as a wrestler dream to want to be at a WrestleMania. You know, if you don't have that dream as a pro wrestler, then what are you doing?
Wasn't that all our dreams as a 5-year-old kid or 6-year-old kid when we first discovered wrestling?
Exactly. WrestleMania is where it all started. Des says, is Rampage or Collision taped tomorrow? I think both are being taped tomorrow, but I could be wrong on that. What happened to NXT Europe? Not sure, CD. We'll have to wait and see when we get more information on it. But it's still in the works at this particular time. CD's feeling under the weather. I felt that this week myself as well. So I hope you feel better soon. Hope you get well. And Tina says, oh my God, watch, it's Ronda. You never know. It could happen. You never know. No chance Triple H would fumble the bag with Ospreay. They treat him like a star similar to when AJ styled. I would hope that would be the case.
Well, we still got to wait what happens to see with Jade Cargill first. That's the real tester. I think if Jade Cargill was booked well, it almost is like an open invitation to say, look, come here, man. We do it right now.
Absolutely. And it could be the case. That's going to be the big sell sign going forward, obviously with MJF as well, who's the only matches we've talked about. We're 58 minutes into the stream, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 7 matches still to talk about. So we're going to power through the rest of these matches now, and obviously give your predictions as well. We'll get some of them up there as well. If there are some questions, we will go and give them as well if they're based on this show as well. But we're going to start hot, so make sure to stick with us as well. We've gone with the big matches, but we're keeping it hot. In fact, we're going to do a Texas Deathmatch for you next. Now we're going to talk about Hangman Adam Page against Swerve Strickland. And of course, Swerve picking up the W at Wrestle Dream over Hangman Adam Page. Swerve has the aspirations to be a world champion and take Hangman's spot. This rivalry has continued though, despite the help of Prince Nana, the cheating to get the victory. Swerve did actually, it's usually Swerve's house. He went into Hangman's house, obviously, went over the crib of Hangman's child as well. Very sort of risky business. We've seen as well that Swerve and his sort of group as well, the Mobile Embassy, have cost Hangman and the Bucks the 6-man tag team championships of Ring of Honor. So they've gone back to the gates of agony. At this point now, Hangman Adam Page has pretty much had his say this past week on Dynamite, pretty much saying that, Swerve saying that he got fired 2 years ago from the company he was at. His ex-fiance left him, and his kids don't even want to talk to him. It was quite brutal, to be fair. It kind of reminded me a bit of the Hangman Page and CM Punk altercation before Double or Nothing about 18 months ago. It felt to the market, felt personal, and I suppose you had a bit of light relief when it came to Prince Nana talking about stealing his weed. But what were your thoughts of the build with these two? This feels like a hot match that's been built here. We've got the Texas Deathmatch stipulation being added. I can see this one being a pretty violent one here when it comes to Full Gear.
Oh yeah, I'm expecting Hangman to be busted open 100%. Like, I'm gonna give my prediction away. I'm gonna say Hangman wins this. I think it just gives them the precipice for to them be a third match between these two, because it kind of makes sense. The promo last night was just absolute fire. Like, but the only issue is that there wasn't a lot of response from Swerve, which is kind of like my brain goes back to that WWE thinking where, Hangman's come out on top on the promo, which means Swerve Strickland should really be winning this match. But like I said, I think they need to take this to a third match with it. It's been really good. It's like you said, it just seems to be the way AEW do all their promos, though. When they're like really hot, when they're really hot, that they tend to just chip away at them personal details and then personal outside of wrestling tidbits that, do you know what I mean, just cut a little bit deeper and get that extra spicy reaction from the crowd. So it works for me, man. Like I said, I imagine that all their promos are gone over with before they go out there, so they know what they're saying. So it's kind of a case of, no one's going to step over the line unless the other person's okay with it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be bloody, and it's going to be hard hitting.
I think so. I think it's going to be a very hard-hitting match. For me, like, I'm like you. I have the WWE thinking in my head. When I saw how it played out this week, I was like, well, surely Swerve's got to win then, because, like, it always feels like, he couldn't do nothing in this situation because there was no physicality allowed between Hangman and Swerve, but Hangman said, well, no one said nothing about you and me and Nana, so he beat up Prince Nana, like, right there and then, and Swerve couldn't do nothing about it. It feels like he was just helpless to that point, and usually that's kind of like a babyface trait. So it was kind of interesting to see how the story kind of played out, but it's got to the point it's that personal. I think Hangman Adam Page is going to win. I do think he's going to win. However, a Texas Deathmatch should end a feud. It should end a feud, but Swerve Strickland needs to find a way to get towards that main event picture. I don't know. I'm really conflicted. What happens to Swerve if he doesn't win this match? Does he go back down the card?
This is why I think you need the third match. You need the rubber match. You need the last one to get Swerve that win to push him further up the card towards the main event scene, which is why I think Hangman wins this. Because otherwise, Hangman can just always go back into the main event scene because he's been there before. It's not hard to book Hangman in that scene. But if you want to really seriously push Swerve up the card, this needs to go to a third one. And then from January, you can go on with Swerve being a main event star.
Absolutely. If Swerve does win this, does he become an automatic title contender, like straight towards the main event and straight towards the championship opportunity, even as early as World's End?
It depends on what happens with this whole Devil story. Like, hey, maybe the Devil is Swerve Strickland. Do you know what I mean? It could be at this point. Who knows? But it's again, there's outside factors with that one that make it too hard to call.
This is. I mean, there are a few matches that are really hard to call on this show, but I think that's what's really, really good about it because of the fact that it makes this a really exciting show. I'm actually really looking forward to it because of the fact that it doesn't feel so obvious and predictable, which is pretty darn good. But we've gone for Hangman Adam Page. We'll see what people have got to say in the comments below. Daz says Hangman to win. C-Nation asks what's the point of the Elite winning the 6-man tag team titles? There was none. Noob says Swerve is winning. CD goes on to say that Hangman Adam Page wins this match to get his win back, but Swerve wins the third match and then challenges MJF after that, which I think there makes a lot of sense if they want to do that. What's the rules in this match? Basically, a Texas Death Match is there are no rules, basically. That's kind of the rules of it, isn't it? Hardcore. Yeah. Hardcore as you want. If you have the opportunity, Daz, you can see the match with Hangman and John Moxley. It was a Texas Death match earlier this year. In fact, as well, Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks had one recently on Collision as well. Maybe to go in the archives and see those to give you a bit of familiarity with it.
But because it is a Texas one, though, they have to wear cowboy boots and cowboy hats, though.
There you go. There you go. Prince Nana is so over with the fans. He saw fans dancing with. Of course, CD was at Collision just recently. To be fair, he is pretty over. I'm not going to lie to you about that one. We'll go then quickly above here just to go back to some of the other comments that we did have go in. Roger actually said here that Will Ospreay could be the one to beat Roman.
Hey, whoa. Don't skip over that. That's the whole precipice of MJF signing for WWE next year when Triple H goes to him. Hey, MJF, come WWE. You're going to be the guy to dethrone Roman Reigns.
There you go. It could be the possibility. And A to the K do disagree. They think Ospreay, I think Ospreay will be ricocheted in WWE. In AEW, can become a top star. Absolutely lost in the shuffle in WWE. He's not what they want. To be fair, it's an agree to disagree situation, but A to the K do raise some valid arguments there, I would say. See if I'm missing any. I won't bring up every single comment, but Two Sweet Cow says that Jay Cobb has been missing for the last 2 weeks, which she has been doing. And also we got Eric says, I fully expect Ali does sign. There's going to be a joke about Sean wanting to make him a champion before he got fired. Probably, if it's AEW, you wouldn't expect that to happen. I do think the Outcast will break up soon. Possibly. Tony Storm's already left them. Whoever teams with MJF, will they be winning the RH Tag Team titles, and Adam Cole will be champion. We'll have to wait and see what will happen. Obviously, we give our predictions for Full Gear. What will happen after Full Gear is anybody's guess. Let's move on in the meantime, and we will talk about a tag team match. The Golden Jets, which for me just seemed like a skiing holiday, or water skiing holiday, I should say, against the Young Bucks there. What are your thoughts of a tag team with Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho?
It's kind of just like, you get them two old guys that just they really feel like they should be past their prime, and like they're still doing what they do though because they love doing it so much. It's kind of the feeling with these two. This is a really awkward one to call though, because it feels like no one cares, if I'm honest. Like no one honestly cares about this match. Like it just feels like they've thrown Jericho and Kenny together, but it's like no one cares. And it's like this also plays into effect with the tag team titles as well. And it's like, is it just the case that we're having this match for the sake of having this match?
Well, I mean, like you said there is a stipulation on this match. The Young Bucks do have the opportunity to have a title match whenever they want for the AEW World Tag Team titles. If the Golden Jets win, then they take that opportunity away from the Young Bucks. If the Young Bucks win, then the Golden Jets have to disband, so they can no longer be a team together anymore. The main issue here with the Young Bucks, and I've got to say, I do prefer a heel Young Bucks, by the way. I'm loving the fact the low blows were kicked in on Dynamite, the fact they don't care anymore. That sort of stuff was quite nice to see. They've been a bit bland for me in the last sort of year to 18 months, I've got to say. But looking at it, obviously their issue is Chris Jericho. The fact that Kenny's been budding off with them. They want Kenny Omega to be with them and doing their stuff. And Chris Jericho, they don't like the idea that Chris was actually taking credit of the start of All Elite Wrestling. It's kind of like the EVPs and kind of like the people that were there at the start, all just having a bit of friction, a bit of a moan, and they put some stipulations. But I think this could be a dark horse of one of the best matches on this show, because, I mean, obviously we remember Kenny and Hangman versus the Bucks before was incredible. Jericho can still go on a good given day. I've got a funny feeling this could be a fun one, and I'm going to predict it nice and early. I think the Golden Jets will win.
Yeah, it seems that way. I'm going to go to Golden Jets as well. I think like it's almost like they're trying to avoid doing FTR versus the Young Bucks again at some point in the future. So I think if they make this the stipulation, then the Golden Jets go on to face whoever wins the Fatal 4-Way later on in the night. And it's like, yeah, I've got that feeling as well. But like you said, I agree with you what you said though. Just like Young Bucks have always got that high energy, and yeah, like this could be really good.
Absolutely. CD here says that the Golden Jets win. Ricky Starks and Big Bill are heels. We'll be talking about them next. Will they actually be retaining those championships? Is the big question from their match. CD asking if the Elite are over now. Right. Well, not technically not broken up. It's just Kenny's just on a different project at the minute, but it could be a full-on breakup. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, that's probably a good way of putting it. Daz actually reckons the Bucks win by DQ. Interesting. A DQ is very rare in AEW, so it'd be interesting if they were to do that. And what if Kenny Omega turns on Chris Jericho and was with the Elite the whole time? Could happen. Certainly wouldn't rule it out, but I would say, though, after the Don Callis family situation, that still doesn't feel fully finished for me. So I do feel that Kenny Omega and Jericho will go back for that at some point. I think that this has got a bit of mileage to go yet.
Yeah, it almost seems like this is kind of like a sidetrack just to keep them preoccupied and on TV until we get back to that.
I think so as well there. But yeah, we're going to go for the Golden Jets then to pick up the win over the Young Bucks. But who then, if the Golden Jets have the opportunity to go for the tag team titles, who will be the tag team champions? Ricky Starks and Big Bill defending against FTR, against House of Black. Of course, there'll be Malakai Black and Brody King versus the La Facción Ingobernable, which would be Rouge and I believe Preston Vance. I know Dralístico, I think, is the actual one that's going to be in this match. Vance will be on the outside. It'll be in a four-way for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. There's not a lot of story with this, if being honest. It's all been playing out on Collision. We have had FTR and La Facción in the team against Ricky Starks, Big Bill, and House of Black. But it just kind of feels like all sides are broken down. They've all gone back to their original teams, and now they all want the tag team titles. Ricky Starks and Big Bill did beat FTR for those tag team titles in dominant fashion, of course, earlier, well, about a month or so ago now that happened. So FTR now have got their rematch here. But for me, this just feels a bit throwaway. This probably will be a good match when watching it, but I don't really have much excitement for it going in.
This is your spot fest match. This is the one of the matches where they're just going to do. You're going to get all your crazy stuff on this match. Yeah, it's a four-way tag team match. It doesn't really need much of a build. It's kind of like it's just going to be an absolute crazy 15-20 minutes, and it's kind of like it's either this is probably open. It'll be one of the matches that's the really hot match to open the show.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising actually if it was to do that. Obviously, it has the vibes of it. Usually, the tag team titles where it can sporadically go all over the card. It can even be that sort of match where it's like semi-main event as well, like just to give the crowd something going on as well before you have the big match at the end of the show. So it'll be interesting where they position this because, like you say, there's a lot of spots that'll probably happen in this match. Do you see Starks and Bill retaining, or do you see new tag team champions?
I think Starks and Bill will retain. I think they've only just picked them up, so to lose them on your first title defense is like it's not really a common thing, is it, in wrestling? So I think they'll retain.
I think they're going to retain as well. I think this is not something I'm going to always say on this prediction stream, but I've got a funny feeling that Starks and Bill, there's more mileage in this reign. Like I said, they just won the titles, so to lose them this quickly would just feel a bit like a hot potato for me, and would actually be a real, downgrade for Ricky Starks, who, to be fair, was feuding with CM Punk, and then Bryan Danielson now has gone into the tag team division when he was on what cusp but felt like a Collision main event scene, and now all of a sudden he's in the tag team titles. If he loses those very quickly as well, I just wonder what the booking strategy would be with Ricky Starks going forward. And it's great to see Big Bill now has finally found himself a place on the AEW roster, because I feel like he's been lost for like the first year or so he's been there, but now he's with Starks, really enjoying the chemistry those two have together.
Yeah, like when he came into TNA, he was doing some good stuff in TNA, and now he's transitioned over to AEW, which is obviously a bigger audience, and he's getting back to like his whole presentation. Like I find is a lot better than what it was in WWE. I like the way he is now, the denim jeans and the Timberland boots and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I can see this being one of these ones where the eventual point they lose these titles is the point where these two split and we get a feud between these two before they go off to do their separate things.
I think that can make a lot of sense as well there. But Golden Jets versus Ricky Starks and Big Bill, I think we feel is the long-term direction there. CD agrees with you, by the way, predicts this match will open the show, and Daz says FTR to win. There we go. We'll move on in the meantime. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel as well. It really does help us a long way going forward. And we have one more comment that's come through before we go to our next match. Ken asked, what match are we least looking forward to of the entire show? Do you have a match you're least looking forward to?
No, I don't think there's one I'm least looking forward to. There's like obviously there's some where you're kind of like you hope it's not underwhelming. Like you try not to build up too much. But no, I think I'm okay with most of them. Like I'm looking forward to the women's matches. Like I like Kris Statlander, and I think that her match is going to be great. Toni Storm as well. Like I want to see that match as well. So no, I don't think there's one I don't want to see particularly.
Absolutely, yeah. To be fair, I actually I don't have one. I suppose if I had to pick one, I will give an answer for Ken. If I had to pick one, I'll go with this match. Is the one I'm probably least looking forward to, probably on the show,
Okay.
and it's because I think the build has been okay, but it's only been okay. Wesley thinks that Enzo, well, the real one, will be that signing. Thank you for your
That's
comment there,
great.
Wesley.
That's
That would be.
great. That's so outlandish.
It doesn't fit the bill at all, but certainly we get people talking. That's the one thing for sure. There,
Oh,
Wesley.
that'd be
Thank you for your
amazing.
prediction there. West Coast in the house as well. Hope you guys are doing well. It says we'll be there Saturday. Amazing. Does that feel like pay per view quality card? Your thoughts? See, I feel a bit different. I feel that there's some really exciting matches on the show. Everything we talked about so far. I mean, we've been talking a lot, which was said in the comments below, but we talk a lot. We probably do. But with MJF obviously and Jay White, I think is exciting. I think the Texas Death match there. I think that tag team match with the Golden Jets Bucks, despite the lack of build, I think will actually be a really good tag team match. I think when it comes to it, it's going to be decent on the nights.
Yeah, I think it'll be it will have quality to it. I can see what he means by maybe not as exciting because you've got a fatal four-way for the tag team titles instead of a story-built narrative. You've got Cassidy versus Moxley again for the international title, which we've already had done. There is a couple, like I said, there's a couple of matches in there that you just feel like you said, the 6-man one that's coming up as well. They're almost shows you could have on a Dynamite, and it's like there's no build behind them, but I imagine they're going to be quality wrestling.
I think so. I think it'll be quality wrestling. I think we got used to that with AEW a little bit. That sometimes it's not always the stories we get. There are some great stories on this show, but sometimes it's just with the other ones with the matches. You just go, right, okay, we're here for it. Give us what you got, and they usually deliver a top match anyway. So it's what we got used to. But you said you can't wait to talk about this particular match, so let's talk about it next. Kris Statlander versus Julia Hart versus Skye Blue for the AEW TBS Championship. Of course, Statlander's been champion since Double or Nothing, so nearly a 6-month reign at this point. Julia Hart was the challenger at Wrestle Dream. Of course, didn't get the job done, had been undefeated for 18 months. Of course, Statlander did get the W. Skye Blue, though, is an interesting one in this equation. Has been a babyface, but of course, did get the mist. Of course, and she's gone a bit weird since then. She's not turned to the dark side. However, I'm predicting on this show, she will turn to the dark side. Julia Hart is finding it a bit weird that people like Skye Blue and Willow, who have both been misted, have not actually joined her on the dark side, not accepting her offer. I think Skye Blue will be accepting that offer, and I've got a funny feeling that Julia Hart is going to walk away TBS champion.
It is a very good shout. Like, I think that's the whole reason why I think Skye Blue's been put in this match. She's the one to take the pinfall, so Statlander doesn't lose it. So I'm with you. I think Julia Hart will walk away with this. It's a shame because I like Statlander, but the story arc is there for Julia Hart.
I feel it's time for a change with the TBS Championship. Statland's done a good job, but I think it's time to freshen things up. Julia Hart has really improved as of late over the last sort of year or two. And I think, like you said, there's Skye Blue as well, an emerging talent as well. You can build that. But it's a great finish idea, by the way, you've come for this match there. I like what you suggested there, because then you can build to a rematch with Statlander again. And that's when you can have Skye Blue just turn on Statlander, and then you can just build them on the singles program. Julia Hart goes on to other things. So I think that would make a lot of sense between now and World's End. So really like that idea. Let's go into the comments and see.
Just to say, it gives Statlander a chance to then move up to the world title scene.
Absolutely, which is certainly a possibility as well to do that there. Obviously, we'll be talking about that in a couple of seconds' time. Daz reckons that Kris will retain. Eric says, I think Kris wins, but failed miss by Skye on purpose, keeping her a face. Interesting. Wesley asking a question about Moxley and Cassidy, which will be our last match we're talking about today, but do we think Moxley will bleed? I think we'll give a safe thumbs up there. I know that there's a bit of comedy behind that one, but we'll give a safe thumbs up there. If Moxley's not bleeding by the entrance, I'll be disappointed. CD says Orange Cassidy shouldn't have another 1-year title reign. Will he? We'll be answering that later on in the stream. Wesley thinks that Skye Blue will join the House of Black and Julia Hart will win the TBS Championship, liking that. And Eric says that Julia and Skye are two of the most improved wrestlers of 2023. I think that's a fair comment to make. We'll move on in the meantime there. Like I say, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to hit that like button, share some love for this channel as well, and help the algorithms on YouTube as we talk about the AEW Women's World Championship, because we're about to get Timeless. If only I could just flick my fingers and this camera went black and white, I'd be so happy right now. What are your thoughts of the Timeless Toni Storm character that's evolved since All In?
I personally love Toni Storm. I think it's great. It needs work in certain things. I think more when it comes to promos and stuff. but I love the character. And this is the good thing about Tony with these things, is when some things are hot, is he does pull the trigger on them. And I think this is going to be the case. And I think Timeless Tony Storm is going to walk away with that AEW Women's World Championship. I'm like, if anyone's going to get a custom wrestling title, Tony Storm with a vintage like 1940s black and white title would be magnificent.
I tell you, if I could give a standing ovation right now, I would. Amazing. I love that idea again. Look, for me, Hikaru Shida, it's great. First 3-time Women's World Champion. It's great that she's won a title a couple of times. It does feel a bit like a hot potatoes going around with the Women's World Championship right now. But I'm going to agree with you. I think Timeless Tony Storm is going to walk away with the championship. The act is hot right now. Mariah May is in the house as well now. And imagine that the super fan that she is, I think she could get involved in this match. She's either going to cost Tony or she's going to help Tony. I think it'll be the latter. I think that the help will be successful here, and I think that Toni Storm can get back on track for when Jamie Hayter eventually returns, because that's the rivalry I think that Jamie Hayter needs to come back to go for the AEW Women's World Championship. So that's why I think Toni Storm will win the gold. Is Shida being done dirty here though if she loses the title again so quick after winning it once again?
No, I think that's like you just said, the fact that Tony has backup. It almost feels like this is how Shida loses this title every time, is outside interference. I think it's just another way to protect Shida that outside interference costs her the match.
Absolutely. I've got to say, I'm loving the Timeless Toni Storm stuff. Like you said, there is a little bit of tweaking needing in places, but the potential of this is incredible, and I think they could go a long way with it. Like you said there, a suggestion of a title change as well there, I think could be a lot of fun. We've seen the Acclaim do it with the 6-man tag team titles. To do that there, I think would be a lot of fun for Toni Storm with her own vintage Timeless Championship. I think is an excellent idea. West Coast loves that idea about the title as well. Good to see. CD here says that Hikaru Shida is about to have a short title reign for the second time this year as well. And of course, that means that Toni Storm will be the second 3-time AEW Women's World Champion. Have we heard anything about the return of Thunder Rosa? I personally haven't.
No, I've not heard anything either, unfortunately.
Sorry, Wesley, not a better answer. We wish we could give you a better answer for that question. It deserves it. A big fan of Thunder Rosa. Would love her to return some point soon, but no updates at this particular time. CD says that Timeless Toni Storm will be the second, but will be the first 2-time AEW Women's Champion. And of course, Shida was the second. So they're they're neck and neck, is basically what CD is saying at this point. And obviously, the AEW Women's World Championship is the new TNT Championship. I like that. And
apparently, Thunder Rosa is apparently ruled out till possibly next year. Apparently,
wow, it's a long-term injury, unfortunately. We do wish her well. We hope she can get back in the ring soon. And Roger says, I don't get why Ty Valkyrie is not being booked in AEW. TNA are the only ones who know how to book her. Ty is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. Roger has said before, big fan of Ty Valkyrie. I'd like to see her get more of a push in AEW. Unfortunately, it's just not happening at this time.
I would prefer to go back to TNA. I think, again, another one that's very character-driven, where she will benefit a lot more from being in TNA.
I think so as well. I would like to see Ty back in TNA personally as well, if I had my way. Noob says, I got Toni Storm winning. I'm pretty tired of the Joshi Wrestling fans complaining about Joshi Wrestlers not being on top. Sorry to all of the Asuka Io Kairi fans out there. The thing is, they have all been champions. That's the thing. Like, maybe they don't always have the best stories, but I mean, you mentioned they're just flip it. Not to talk too long about WWE, but we mentioned Hikaru Shida, the first 3-time AEW Women's World Champion. No one else had done that before her. To be at the top of the mountain 3 times.
AEW Women's Champion as well.
Oh, well, Riho was the first one. Yeah, Riho was the first one.
Sorry, yeah, my pass. Yeah, but same principle, yeah.
Yeah, same principle. And Hikaru was also a year-long reign at one point. So, I mean, there are that. And we look at Asuka. She's had multiple reigns. Io Sky currently have a lengthy reign. Kairi NXT, okay. Women's tag team titles with Asuka. There's time for that to change. But like you say, they shouldn't all
She was NXT Women's Champion. She was treated like gold in NXT. Yeah. It's just, unfortunately, it's bad creative when she went up. That was the reason why.
But I'm going to say I agree with Noob here with them complaining, because they are being booked pretty well. So there you go. Quick answer for me on this question. What is the best match in AEW history? For me, it is Kenny and Hangman Page versus the Young Bucks from Revolution, I believe 2020.
Oh, God, you're making me think now. I was always a fan of the dog collar match between Punk and MJF. I thought the story arc was great in it.
That's a blinder as well. That one, love that match. They're great selection. We'll move on in the meantime. And do you know what? We're now down to 2 matches to go. We've done literally 5 matches in 20 minutes. How good is that? We'll be talking about Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting versus Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. Of course, Christian Cage is Daddy of the Year, Father of the Year, getting Nick Wayne to turn on Darby Allin. Of course, now align himself with Cage and Luchasaurus. Of course, that led to Cage retaining at Wrestle Dream. Cage was about to do the dirty to Darby and to Sting as well before Adam Copeland made a dramatic arrival in AEW. Of course, that was actually quite a good debut, to be fair. Got a big pop from everybody there. Of course, Copeland did say that he wanted a team with Christian Cage, where Christian Cage told Adam to basically go F himself, basically, is the nice way of putting it. Adam Copeland has said that he wanted to see Christian Cage come around, wasn't going to wrestle against him, but eventually did see what Sting was saying when Christian Cage tried to put Copeland back on the shelf, was going to do a solo concerto to him. The save was made by Darby and Sting, which led to this 6-man tag team match being made. What's been your thoughts with the build of this match? I've said that I'm probably least looking forward to it, but it's one of the matches with a stronger build going into this show.
Yeah, but the result is boring because Darby Allin, Sting, and Adam Copeland are going to win. It's boring because you put Darby Allin and Sting in a match, 99% of the times they're going to win. And Christian Cage and Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne, they're all guys that can take a loss and it doesn't affect them. And I think that's what really irritates me about this. Unless we get some major swerve and like Copeland turns heel or something on Darby and Sting and joins Christian, I'd be well up for that. But Christian's doing too well on his own at the minute. And I think that those two have a narrative coming out of this match, but I think this is why I'm not as enthusiastic about this one.
Can you say boring one more time?
Boring, Steve. It's boring.
There we go. For those that have seen our Crown Jewel review, we'll know exactly where we're going with that. For me personally, I'm going to say that, like, I don't know what it is. There's something just not clicking with it. I know Sting's got the retirement coming up, so it's kind of good seeing while we can. We should appreciate it. That's all well and good. I think the Ric Flair being in the corner of Sting, which I've not included on the graphic here, Ric Flair's expected to be at ringside, I think adds a bit of a damp, it's basically gone down like a damp squid, to be fair.
Oh, I tell you what, just before you carry on, that dude is destined to turn heel on Sting and join Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. You can already foresee it.
Could you see Sting and Ric Flair being Sting's last match?
Oh, God, no.
It's painful, isn't
man, because there's a year to go, and if that, like, you might as well Sting might as well just retire now. That'd be horrific.
It would be horrific, but yeah, I have a feeling they could possibly do it. I think it should be Darby. I'll just throw that out there. It should be Darby.
I actually heard a rumor as well that they're apparently going to bring back Surford Sting as well.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Apparently, I heard it, and I was like, "Really? How's that going to work?" Maybe that's the Ric Flair match. You never know.
Could be a way to do it. I'll give my prediction quickly on this one. Let's not waste so much time on it. I'm going for the baby faces to win here. I think Adam Copeland picks up the pinfall. Nick Wayne is sitting right there to take and eat the pinfall. And I think we could build Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage for the TNT Championship at World's End. But I do think before Adam Copeland retires and Christian Cage, I do think there will be a tag team one more time in AEW. I just think we could be talking maybe 12 months away from that being a realistic possibility.
Yeah, and like I said, I would agree with you what you said a little while ago as well. I think Darby Sting has to be Sting's final match. The kind of like the apprentice has become the master kind of thing. That like there's almost like Star Wars kind of, do you know what I mean? Eulogy when it comes to it.
Absolutely, yeah. It has got that vibe about it, doesn't it? Let's go to the comments one more time and see what everyone is saying. Wesley answering the question about best match in AEW history said that Jericho and Nick Gage be the best one in history there. We got asked from Roger, but will we see Sting versus Ric Flair in the Sting's retirement match? We hope not. Is basically the answer to that one. We hope not. But so Roger suggests that Christian Cage will pin Adam Copeland for the win. Now, that would get people talking, and I actually think that would make me more excited for the storyline moving forward. West Coast Podcast, go on. Sorry, do you want to react to that? Sorry,
No. I was going to say, yeah, I agree with that. It's seen, and plus that's the narrative coming out of this. That's what it's about is Adam Copeland versus Cage.
Absolutely. West Coast Podcast will be seeing Ronda, Swerve, Athena, and more tonight in a show in LA. Mox is teaming with Sami Callihan. Maybe he's TK's new signee. Well, we spoke about a host of names in the first hour of this stream, so we shouldn't really do that again. But certainly, Sami Callihan was one name that was discussed there. It's going to be interesting whoever it's going to be. That I think that's probably the best place to say there. Sami Callihan would be good though on an AEW roster.
Yes, just for me though, character-wise, go back to TNA.
Absolutely, yes. CD said, I thought Ric Flair had his final match in 2022. Though Ric Flair's never had his final match. It feels. I think Ric Flair, any opportunity he can, he will do another match. He said he'll always say yes.
He's got to go around and have his final match in every company first. Then he'll be retired because he's had his WWE one, he's had his Independence one. He's still got to go back and have his TNA one yet, so that's got to happen yet, and yeah, he will have one in AEW as well.
There you go. Oh God, let's hope not. Let's really hope not. Let's talk about something a bit sort of better to end things off. Then the last match on the show. Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley for the AEW International Championship. Now, we're talking about hot potato titles. Now, this one has kind of, I think, been forced really from AEW's hands because Jon Moxley beat Orange Cassidy in a great main event at All Out. I don't think anyone could dispute that. It was an amazing match. Moxley was just too good on the night for Cassidy. And Moxley then was champion going forward, was immediately racking up the title defenses, wanting to break Cassidy's record, it felt. But Moxley fell on his head at the Alfresh Stadium. So much that unfortunately with a ref botch it happened twice and Rey Fénix won the title because Moxley couldn't kick out. Fénix was the champion then for a short time. Moxley was meant to get a rematch but was not cleared in time. Fénix had also picked up injuries as well during that period, so a new match was made against Orange Cassidy, and Cassidy won the gold back. When Moxley did return, these two not really been getting on. There was a bit of a shoulder barge and a shoving match going on at Battle of the Belts 8. Yes, I made effort to watch Battle of the Belts for once. This is sort of continuing as a story then of the fact that Moxley believes he's going to win this title back because he's better than Orange Cassidy. Cassidy's kind of had to almost accept the idea after this tag team match that he's still not good enough because Moxley kind of no-sold his orange punch and was sat on the outside just looking up when Wheeler Yuta picked up the victory over Orange Cassidy's tag team partner Hook. I'm loving the storytelling of Cassidy. He feels he can't get the job done. He's more caring than ever. It's not whatever when it comes to this match with Jon Moxley. He feels he needs to beat Jon Moxley to, call himself the true international champion going forward. And Moxley, we know what's going to come. It's going to be bleeding. It's going to be violent. But it should be another great match between these two.
It is, but for me, I feel this is a massive storyline reset. I mean, as much as I'd love to see Cassidy pick up the win to get even to tie it back up, and then we go to a third one, I think for me, this is just a reset for when Moxley was supposed to win against Fénix, and then we were supposed to get some massive, like Moxley's next big opponent on the basis of that result, but obviously it never happened because Fénix ended up winning. So, I mean, for me, if the four-way tag team match isn't opener, this will be opener for me. I think this is just a complete storyline reset match.
I can see this being the opener of the show. You know, when you were saying before, and this for me, I felt it was the fitting one for it because it was the main event of the last one, being the opener of this one as well. Just makes it feel like that this show then is a bigger deal, if you want, compared to the All Out show, and it just. International title has been many Dynamites, the opening match, and I just think they can tell an amazing story to kick off the show. I'm with you. I think that what a great storyline narrative they could do with Cassidy retaining the championship here, finally getting one over on Moxley. They can even do a third match then at World's End. But I think the ultimate the goal is for Moxley to get this title. They have a plan for Jon Moxley as international champion, whatever they're going to do with it. So I think Moxley will go here. And like you said, it's a reset button, kind of like he won it all out. He won it here at Full Gear. We'll start it all over again. And Cassidy can go on to whatever character trait he was going to have, because if he still doesn't get the job done here, it kind of helps him continue on what he was feeling after All Out, because he was kind of feeling a new direction with his character, which was quite exciting. I almost wanted to see Orange Cassidy as this normal guy who cared about everything going forward, to the point that he was actually desperate to get a title, to the point that it felt like he would even turn on his friends. I like the idea of that Orange Cassidy. It could be a really fun story that could end the year and go into 2024. Really, evolving in a massive way. So I'm going to agree with you. I think Jon Moxley is going to actually win the international championship here.
Yeah, so that's why I go with Moxley to win this, reset it all again. I can't see Cassidy, like someone said earlier, I can't see Cassidy getting another year's championship run out of it. Like he done well enough to lift the lineage of this title up that we don't need to see it again. He could, like I said, I think, like to back off what you just said, I think now this is the point where Cassidy now has to evolve himself and become a wrestler that maybe does care.
Absolutely. The only way that I could see a different result here of Cassidy retain is if they do a third match at World's End. But I personally think that I think it's going to be Moxley picking up the win here as well. And I think it's just going to be more fun to see what they would have done, they can do now going forward. Let's go into the comments then, and then we'll wrap up the stream here today. And actually, CD was at that Battle of the Belts show, so you were watching it as well then, which is good to see. I hope you enjoyed your time when you were at that Battle of the Belts show. Will Sam Callahan still have a bald head if he signs for AEW? I've got no idea, Ken. I don't keep an eye on what Sammy's doing with the hairstyle these days, sadly. But West Coast is going to see him on the show, so maybe if you check out West Coast podcast video, maybe you might find out if he does or doesn't. We've got here CD saying that I feel like a third match at World's End and Moxley wins there. Could be interesting if that is the case. And he did enjoy his time at Battle of the Belts. And the final question coming from Wesley, which I think is a great question. Do we think AEW will eventually join Max streaming service with the entire ROH catalogue?
It's all about the money, really, and it depends on if they're going to pay on the money for the services or whatever. I would like to think that AEW would do their own thing, just like what WWE's got, and then can maybe partner that in with someone else, like, I don't know, it's a wild shot, but like Amazon or something like that. But I think they'd be better off doing their own thing, because I'm not being funny. The back catalogue on ROH stuff they have alone would be enough for most people to sign up, because there's a lot of great stuff and hidden gems in there.
Yeah, there is some great gems, but I mean, obviously, Tony Khan has said that HBO Max is his favorite streaming service. I think he's already made the play that that's the one he wants. So I think it will happen. I think it's a matter of when. I think it should have been the last announcement before they announced about Wembley again. That could have been a tweet. They didn't need to make that as a big thing on TV, but power to them that they think it's important enough to do it on TV, because it's great for the UK folk to get that show.
I forgot the tickets go on sale for that in December as well.
They do.
It's Christmas, man. Where am I supposed to find all the money for this stuff?
I was fortunate to get a ticket 2 weeks before the show. I think we're going to be comfortable on it. So I'm willing to wait until this year. Yeah, I want better seats as well, but I think they'll still be available. There were still those sort of seats available, so I think it'll be okay. But Wesley, I'm going to answer yes. I think it'll be the best thing for ROH. They desperately need it, and the sooner the better, because I have HBO Max, so I'd be quite happy with that. So it'd give me an opportunity to do some rewinds like we see on this channel. Roger asked, do we think it'll be a good pay-per-view? I think it'll be a great pay-per-view. I just hope it's not too long.
Yeah, that's the one for worry I always have, is they go 5 hours, and I'm too old to be watching 5-hour pay-per-views, man.
Hopefully the people don't think the stream has gone too long. 1 hour 36, so this will be the last one we'll do.
What, we've done good to power for the last 36 minutes to get like 7 other matches done, and we're surprised we spent an hour talking about one.
Literally, that is kind of how it done. Final decision: who is the devil? Will it be revealed on Saturday? We did do this earlier in the stream, but A2K wasn't with us at that time, so let's repeat our answers. So first off, NXSteve, who will be the devil? Will it be revealed on Saturday?
Malakai Black, and no, I don't think it will be revealed Saturday. I think a stooge will be revealed.
I like it. I think it's Kyle O'Reilly, and I think that it will later be revealed to be Adam Cole, and I think both of them would have been under the devil mask. I think that he is the top dog, Adam Cole.
Oh, fingers crossed for CM Punk still, though.
We would love it to be Punk, but we don't think that will happen. So Roger says he hates that it's finishing 5 a.m. in the UK. It doesn't help that it starts at 1 a.m., which means for me it starts at 2 a.m. So yeah, you can imagine I will not be watching the show live. But if you are watching live, we do hope that you enjoy it. If you've enjoyed the stream, then please do consider hitting the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe as well. Massive thank you to all the chat as well. Be keeping us busy for the last hour and 37 minutes. Without all of you lot, maybe we'd have got this done in 15 minutes. Who knows? But we're grateful for you all being here as always. It's always great to have your comments, your interaction, and basically you're with the strength of this channel, what keeps it going. The other strength as well, NXSteve. It's always great to have you involved on these streams. Of course, you were with me yesterday for the retro review for Survivor Series 1998. I've had you again today for AEW Full Gear predictions. It's been great to have you on board. Thank you for taking the time.
As usual, dude, it's always a pleasure, man. Can't wait to do them next time.
Absolutely look forward to it as well. And thank you everyone that's been taking the time to watch. Check out the rest of the videos that are new to the channel right now. Of course, there is TNA themed, there is WWE themed, and looking to try and get a WrestleMania themed video out for you by the end of the week. Thank you very much, Roger, for the kind words. Look after yourselves and each other. We'll see you. Take care. Enjoy Full Gear.